imports almost no oil through the Hormuz Strait and won't be taking any in the future. We don't need it. We haven't needed it, and we don't need it. The countries of the world that do receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage. They must cherish it. We will be helpful, but they should take the lead in protecting the oil that they so desperately depend on.
Welcome back to the channel. It's your host Zach coming to you with another video, and today we got the U.S. leaves NATO.
Could the United States soon be leaving NATO? According to President Trump, he's seriously considering it. Trump has once again blasted the military alliance after it failed to get behind Washington's operation in Iran, branding the defense pact a paper tiger. As international conflicts continue to rage on across the globe, what would actually happen if the United States left NATO? Here's what to know. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which includes European countries, the United States, and Canada, was formed in 1949 with the aim of countering the risk of Soviet attack, and has been a cornerstone of the West's security ever since. The alliance is first and foremost defensive in nature, acting as a deterrent against attacks on member nations through collective defense. It can be best summed up in Article 5 of its treaty. An attack on one member is considered an attack on all. While alliance members have argued the U.S. offensive in Iran falls outside their commitments in the treaty, Trump has repeatedly blasted NATO over the issue, accusing members of doing absolutely nothing to support the U.S. campaign, including the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz.
I'm so disappointed in NATO because this was a test for NATO. This was a test. You can help us. You don't have to, but if you don't have, if you don't do that, we're going to remember.
Trump has repeatedly signaled out the UK for refusing to join the operation and initially blocking Washington from using UK bases. Spain also publicly announced that it had fully closed its airspace to US planes involved in attacks on Iran. In an interview with Reuters on April 1st, Trump said he was absolutely considering pulling out of NATO, even revealing he would be voicing his disgust with the alliance in an address to the nation later that night. The United States is widely considered to have the strongest military powers in the world. If the US left NATO, it would be a significant blow to the remaining allies' image of deterrence. Without any US obligation to intervene in an attack, NATO countries may be forced to spend significantly more on defense budgets, as adversaries like Russia may be emboldened to test Europe's defenses and any remaining commitments from allies. And without the United States' nuclear umbrella, NATO's nuclear capabilities would be dwarfed by Russia, with France and the UK together holding only a fraction of America's arsenal. Overall, a US withdrawal from Europe would be as destabilizing for the EU as a nuclear attack by Russia, according to experts surveyed by the European Institute for Security Studies. For the US, it operates out of dozens of bases spread across NATO countries that enable its military to deploy in and near Europe. If the US was no longer granted access to these bases, it would inhibit its ability to project its power around the globe. Moreover, NATO allies together purchase a significant amount of US weapons. If the United States cuts ties with Europe, its countries could turn to each other for their arms, with countries like Germany, France, as well as Asian allies all ramping up arms production. The president has repeatedly called for NATO countries to pay their, quote, fair share in the burden of Europe's defense. Whether or not Trump's recent threats of abandonment are a tactic to pressure Europe to do so is unclear. What is clear, however, is that the consequences of such an action would be dramatic.
The United Kingdom was not involved in the initial strikes on Iran by the US and Israel. That decision was deliberate. We believe that the best way forward for the region and for the world is a negotiated settlement in which Iran agrees to give up any aspirations to develop a nuclear weapon and ceases its destabilizing activity across the region. That has been the long-standing position of successive British governments. President Trump has expressed his disagreement with our decision not to get involved in the initial strikes. But it is my duty to judge what is in Britain's national interest. That is what I've done, and I stand by it.
So the Prime Minister of England said he would not be dragged into this war that's going on with Iran. And he brought together 35 countries to try to take back the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, so the prime minister basically said that the U.S. didn't let them know that they were going to war, and now that the war is getting out of hand, they want the U.S. wants their help. Um, and the main reason all this is going on is because Iran blocked the Strait of Hormuz, and now you know oil and everything can't really get through. And yeah, and Trump says the US has oil, so it's really not tripping on London. So they would have to go find, I mean, about Europe. So the Europe would have to go find their own supplier because the US is not worried about oil. They have oil. Trump is basically saying Europe can start buying oil from the US or start using up their stored up reserves. NATO is still standing their ground and claiming that this is not their war, and they would rather take their business elsewhere. So right now, Iran is charging about 2 million per tanker just to cross the Strait of Hormuz, and I think this is yeah, it's getting out of hand. So I'm assuming the 35 countries that NATO is getting together, um, they're either going to make a deal with Iran or go to war with Iran. But I mean, if U.S. has the most powerful or biggest army, and it's having issues with Iran, so I don't know. We'll see. Next up, we got Great Britain. Great Britain. So next up, we got Great Britain taking actions against the UAE for arresting over 70 reporters for taking pictures of the damage that's going on in the war. I guess they're trying to keep it on the down low, so it won't seem like it's really having an effect on them. And all this is really going on because the government of Dubai has imposed a strict rule about posting any war pictures. I mean, anything that's going on about with the war right now. Dubai, because Dubai gives most of their money from tourists now, and they get a lot of tourists. Trust me. So in Dubai, if you get charged with this I guess so-called crime right here, the risk is about 10 years in prison. So which is crazy. So I don't know. I guess the best thing is just to avoid it and just go back to your country. Yeah, I think it's like 10 years in prison or a $4,000 fine. So yeah, that's kind of steep for posting some pictures about something that everybody knows is going on. So 65 people were arrested in Iran, claiming they were collaborating with the outside in the central part of Iran, claiming to be agents from the outside. And these are people that they so-called go into the country, learn the language, mix into the community and all that. Yeah, those are all part of the 65 people that have been arrested. Yeah, so you heard it there, folks. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section, and we'll catch you on the next one.